Hey, I'm Dave with KLYC Radio, AM 1260, and when we're out and about in Yamhill County and other points around the state of Oregon, and who knows where else we'll wind up. But we like to bring you video of what's going on and the interesting things that we're seeing, the interesting people we're talking to. And Doug Blackburn is here with the White Fire Fire Brigade. And behind us right here is fire engine number 1. It's an 1899 American steam-powered fire engine.
Yeah. This is a San Francisco steamer, and it was made by American Fire Engine Company in '98 and delivered to San Francisco in '99. And 1906, mind you, the earthquake and the fire, the Great Fire in San Francisco. These steamers were pulled up hills, moved over to streets that were passable, slid down to the bay, and then they pumped water on the fire and cooled off the bricks so they could start rebuilding. Well, needless to say, when you pump salt water in a boiler of a steam fire engine, you destroy it. And so all these steamers that had pumped water, within at least 2 years, they had pretty much destroyed. Well, San Francisco knew they were going to go to motorized, so that was no big thing. Well, immediately San Francisco did go to, shortly after that, right into motorized. And these steamers were sold to people like 20th Century Fox and movie people and some privates, but a lot of them were melted down for scrap and that kind of stuff.
That's a shame.
Oh, it was a big shame, especially when you come to World War II. But nevertheless, this one went to 20th Century Fox, and it was used in movies. One of the first ones was Hangover Square, and then in Old Chicago, and then the last one was in '57 with Hello Dolly. And being that it was used in Hello Dolly, that's why you see the FDNY on the side of it. That's the way they painted it for that movie.
It's kind of interesting. It's a steam-fired fire engine, so you're using fire to put out fire.
Yeah, that's what the books say, fighting fire with fire. Well, when you look at this, they figured out that these hand tubs that you see here on the shirt that were hand-drawn weren't doing it for cities. And the insurance companies could understand that as well, because there was major big losses as far as money in cities. They were burnt to the ground. This invention, which came from Europe, America says, well, now wait a minute. Ericsson has come into America, and he says, hey, start making steam fire engines. Well, America did. And that's when they brought in big water, and that's what this is called about. Lots of water, and this steamer here is a 900 gallon per minute steamer, and in the 1800s that was a lot of water back in those days. It's 3-horse hitch, and it's a Continental, which is 3 horses, 1, 2, 3 aside, that would pull this because it weighs 6 tons. And that's why it's got flat spots on it, because when they pulled it up in San Francisco, when it found a road to go across the top and then slid down to the bay, they had to slide the steamer all the way down to the bottom, locking up the rear wheels, and the horses were sliding as well down to get to the bay. But nevertheless, it's an operational steamer with a brand new boiler, and the state of Washington made me build a new boiler for it before I could take it out and actually run it in the citizen venue here.
Let's step aside here a little bit, and if we could come this way. And what we want to do is we're going to stand here in the mud a little bit.
Oh.
And if you could kind of get a shot of what's going on with the fire engine right now. So tell me what's going on. The pumps are working, the boiler's boiling up pressure. How much pressure is in there?
Well, this steamer is rated in the state of Oregon and Washington for 120 steam gauge pressure. And that's all I wanted. And that's quite a bit. Really, this steamer runs and operates at 100-pound steam gauge and does very good firefighting. We have a 2.5-inch line going off of it, so when you put 60 to 80 pounds of steam gauge pressure in that boiler, you can run this all day long at, as far as 200, 300 gallons per minute, all day long. It'll sit there and just run along. All you have to do is keep up the pressure and keep the water going into the boiler occasionally and keep it full. You have to watch what you're doing with this, because it is quite dangerous. But nevertheless, as long as you watch it and control everything, this thing will pump all day long, just no problem.
Now the pumping volume that comes from this as compared to a modern fire truck, compare the numbers.
Well, The newer engines today, we're talking 1,500 GPM a minute. Back in the 1800s, 900 gallons per minute was top dog. Then when it went into the 1900s, that's when motorized was coming on and centrifugal pumps was coming on, and these piston pumps were kind of looking like they were going to go off to the side rather. And then all of a sudden, they started making pumps that were bigger, and the last steamer made was in 1917. One steamer was made and it pumped 1,300 GPMs a minute. Now, back then, that was a lot of water. But when you start thinking of today, no, it's not a lot of water. It's a lot of water is 1,500 GPMs and up.
Interesting. So this was built in 1899.
Right. Well, actually, it was built in 1898 and delivered in 99 to San Francisco.
So it's more than 100 years old.
Yes. Yes.
Amazing. So where does this call home?
Well, I live in Washington, up northeast of La Center, and I have a reasonably nice collection of junk, as I call it. And people say, well, it's not junk. Well, I call it junk, but it's good junk. And it's always fun to collect stuff and have a hobby. And obviously, I've got me a little bit of a hobby here.
It's very, very interesting. What are the remarks of people as they're seeing this thing work?
Oh, you'd be surprised. At first, it did surprise me. A lot of the remarks was, what is it? Or what does it do? And that type of stuff. People couldn't quite understand it. It's kind of interesting, though, the older generation that show up to shows like what we have here at Newberg or around the country and fairs and stuff like that. When you go there, the older generation have a perfectly good idea what it is and are amazed that this thing is still running. And based on the fact that in this country there was only 5,000 of steam fire engines made in a 65-year period of time, to date, 340 are known to exist. Less than that are known to exist today.
Hey, I'm Dave once again, KLYC AM 1260 Radio in McMinnville, Oregon, and we are here at Newberg Old Fashioned Festival. One of the things on exhibit here is antique fire apparatus, and they're also doing demonstrations. And we have fire apparatus here dating back to 1860 vintage. And Jim, what's your last name?
Tormey.
Where are you from, Jim?
I'm from Southwest Portland.
So tell us about this 1860s vintage, what's it, a fire wagon?
A hose cart.
Hose cart.
It just carried the hose to a fire. It was pulled by hand by 10 or 12 men. If you were in a city, you had fire hydrants that you could connect the hose to. If you were in a smaller town, you would have had a hand pumper that would have pumped water from a pond or a stream. And the fire hose was leather, like this, till around 1870.
And then they started becoming cloth or fabric?
Cloth, fabric, rubber-lined hose, yes. Mm-hmm.
Is this your personal property?
It is mine, yes. Mm-hmm.
Where did you get it from?
I bought it from another collector. I've had it for about 15 years.
Why do you collect used or antique fire engine? Hose cart?
I don't know. You can ask any of us out here. We're all crazy. So I have this hose cart. I have a 1928 American LaFrance pumper, like you see here also. And I'm restoring a hand pumper from the 1880s.
So were you a firefighter? What is your love for the fire service?
My parents gave me a pedal car fire engine when I was 5 years old, so I think that's where it started. I'm not a firefighter.
Well, thank you very much for going to the work of restoring this and allowing people today to see what it was like back in the day.
Things were a lot different back there, definitely. A lot more labor intensive.
So are these are your fire engines as well?
No. This one is mine, yes.
Okay. Well, thank you for what you do.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'm Dave Adams, KLYC AM 1260 Radio here in Newberg, Oregon at the Newberg Old Fashioned Festivals. And check our website, check our YouTube account as well, as we have more interviews about the antique fire engines. Hey, I'm Dave once again, KLYC AM 1260, and we're here in Newberg at the Old Fashioned Festival, really enjoying these antique fire engines. And I'm here with Guy with the Tualatin Valley Fire Department.
Mm-hmm. Fire and Rescue.
Fire and Rescue.
Mm-hmm.
We have a 1918 American LaFrance engine that belongs to your department.
Yes, it was restored from the ground up in 1980 by Washington County 1, whose territory is now TVF&R, Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue.
How did they come by this fire engine? Was it theirs and it was just parked out back for decades?
It was in private ownership at the time, and it was living in Beaverton and in very disrepair. The fire department was looking for a project to put in parades and to take to public events. They purchased it, and the fire department had a crew of firefighters themselves that did the restoration.
Tell us about the fire engine here. It's a 1918 American LaFrance. Was this one of the first American LaFrance made?
Well, American LaFrance had been around for quite a while by this time, but there was a big transition in the fire equipment business, going to the motorized from the steam-powered. And this particular one, and ones that are like it, and there are several here today, were large machines, and they were not inexpensive, but they produced high pressure, could pump a lot of water.
How much water can this pump? What's the pressure on this, and what's the gallonage?
Well, this could pump 650 gallons per minute. But in these years, unless you were in the city, it was hard to find 650 gallons per minute to pump. The steamer down on the other end there, they build a pond so it can pull enough water to drive that. And these vehicles were made so that they can pull from a hydrant or drop the big hose in a stream or a pond somewhere and pull the water.
Where did this see service at? Was it someplace in Oregon?
This was original to a community called Mangum, Oklahoma. And Mangum was a fairly small community. It was a township, but incredibly enough, they gathered the money together to buy this brand new. We have the original receipt for this, and they paid $8,500 for this in 1918, which computes out to about $200,000 in today's dollars.
That's a lot of money back then and back now.
Yes. I have investigated Mangum and talked to some of the people there, and there's people that remember this vehicle. Mangum is still a small community. Pretty interesting.
What is the story, what is the journey from Oklahoma to Oregon? How did it get here?
Well, the fire chief of Mangum retired, and the fire department basically gave him this vehicle. He still was connected with the fire department, but in a volunteer way, and he did parades and public events for them with their vehicle and kept it. Eventually, he moved to San Diego and took the vehicle along with him, and it made its way up the coast through 2 or 3 other owners, and eventually into Beaverton and then Washington County.
And here it is today. Beautiful fire engine. Thank you for TVF&R for what you do to restore it and take it around to show it to folks.
Well, thank you very much. We are very proud of this.
As you should be.
Thank you.
I'm Dave Adams, KLYC AM 1260 radio, on the internet with video of wherever we go, and we want to bring you the sights and sounds of what's going on in our community. So looking forward to coming to a community near you, especially if you're in Yamhill County, and tell you and show you what's going on. Thanks for being with us.